History has been deemed a subject worth studying since at least the 5th century BCE, when Herodotus, the world's first historian, tried to discover more about stories and mysteries of the past. But what we know and understand about history is constantly changing. Despite Herodotus being a prime source for many historians, we now know that not all of his observations and deductions were correct. But for all our knowledge about the history of our species, Anatolia keeps unearthing surprises and controversies that cause many to feel we need to take another look at how far back our civilization really goes. Herodotus visited Western Anatolia, among many other places, in his quest to document known history. But even he underestimated how old civilization in Anatolia really was. In the Cradle Pass, Herodotus found an ancient relief depicting a male warrior with a curved sword, spear, and bow wearing a peaked helmet. Below the carving was an inscription that Herodotus translated as, "With my own shoulders I won this land." Herodotus assumed the figure was a conquering Egyptian pharaoh, and it wouldn't be until the 20th century that it was discovered the carving, and many similar carvings found in the area, were the work of the Hittites. Although Herodotus documented the relief around 700 or 800 years after it was thought to have been carved, the culture and civilization of the Hittites had been all but wiped out. They were unheard of by Herodotus' time. Still, interestingly, Herodotus writes about the Trojan War, which took place in Anatolia, and historians now believe they have found evidence of Troy in Hittite records. The Hittite capital of Hattusa, now known as Aizanoi, was discovered in 1834 by French explorer named Charles Texier. Hattusa was made the capital of the Hittite Empire around the 17th century BCE, when a king of Kusara named Labarnus ruled the city. However, the town itself is even older than the Hittites. Some remains in the city date back to the 6th millennium BCE, although there is no documentation to tell us who these early settlers were. The earliest written sources of this city come from clay tablets written in Old Assyrian cuneiform and point to Assyrian merchants trading in the city, then called Hattus. Anatolia is full of interesting archaeological sites that appear to have been in use since the Bronze Age. The fact that many of these sites have been in continual use or reused by later cultures can make it difficult for historians to accurately date when they were first created. Aizanoi is a fitting example of this. This city is known for its Roman remains from the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. With its impressive Temple of Zeus, as well as its column-lined promenades, it displays classic Grecian and Roman architecture. As an ancient Greek city, after the Roman conquest of Greece, Aizanoi became an important economic and political center for the Roman Empire. Discovered in 1824, excavations are ongoing, with archaeologists announcing in 2021 that they had uncovered hundreds of Roman coins buried near a stream in the area. Yet recent excavations near the Temple of Zeus revealed evidence that the area had been used as a settlement since around 3000 BCE, long before its Roman Golden Age. It is tantalizing to imagine what historical items may have been found during the Roman construction of the temple, and who knows what may be uncovered in the coming years. Anatolia has many incredible ancient historical sites, but the prehistorical sites highlight how old Anatolia's civilization truly is. In 1961, British archaeologist James Millart started to excavate an area near modern-day Konya in south-central Turkey. At the time, the discovery of Çatalhöyük surprised historians with its complexity and age, as the site clearly demonstrated that an advanced culture had inhabited the area in Neolithic times. One of the oldest surviving buildings in Çatalhöyük is thought to be from around 6700 BCE. This dating means the site was built over 3,000 years before written history began, and over 4,000 years before the building of Stonehenge in England and the pyramids of Egypt. The people of Çatalhöyük lived in rectangular houses, which they seem to have entered from the roof level. The dwellings contained hearths, ovens, and platforms for sitting, sleeping, or working. There is evidence that seeds, nuts, and grains were cultivated, and historians believe they probably kept herds of animals. The settlement also contained what is believed to be a religious quarter, in which shrines and incredible wall paintings were found. It is thought that people began settling in the area around 7400 BCE. The area's climate and position meant that there was a wealth of resources, which could be what encouraged the people of the time to become less nomadic. Over the next 1,000 years, the people of Çatalhöyük began fashioning and using more efficient cooking methods, freeing up time for other activities. Ritual behavior, such as burials, became more elaborate, and the inhabitants had more time for art. It is thought that, at its peak, around 8,000 people lived in Çatalhöyük. Even after 50 years of excavations, the team working at Çatalhöyük is uncovering new information each year, allowing for a better understanding of the site and the people who lived there. Çatalhöyük is one of the oldest surviving cities in the world, and until 1994, it was thought to be the oldest Neolithic site. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe by Klaus Schmidt baffled historians at the time, and many considered it to be hard evidence of an advanced culture in Anatolia long before people began settling at Çatalhöyük. The construction of Göbekli Tepe had been dated to between 9600 and 8200 BCE, making it one of the oldest sites of its kind to date. Although this dating may be conservative, some estimate that the site had been used since 11,000 BCE, or even earlier. When Schmidt began excavating Belly Hill, the English translation of Göbekli Tepe, he discovered over 20 circular stone enclosures, the largest of which measured 20 meters across and had 2 stone pillars at its center. The pillars are thought to weigh around 10 tons and are carved with designs depicting stylized human figures. The exact reason Göbekli Tepe was built remains a mystery, as it does not appear to be intended for habitation. But Schmidt speculated that various groups of hunter-gatherers came together to create this monument. His theory was based on the fact that thousands of wild animal bones were discovered at the site, but archaeologists found no evidence of domesticated plants or grains. Schmidt postulated that Göbekli Tepe could have served as a meeting point for the nomadic tribes in the area. He felt it was where they would gather for ceremonial purposes before resuming their travels. This thinking went against everything that historians believed about Neolithic people. The mainstream idea about human civilization's progression was that people first settled and began farming. Then, with a surplus of food, their spare time was spent on rituals and creating things for abstract purposes rather than necessity. Yet according to Schmidt, this monument had been built by several nomadic groups working together to create something entirely belief-based. However, it seems that Schmidt's initial observations about Göbekli Tepe may have also been wrong. After Schmidt died in 2014, his successor, Lee Clare, had the opportunity to dig several keyhole trenches into the bedrock. These latest digs suggested that Göbekli Tepe was not an isolated temple, but the center of a thriving village. Evidence has now been found of a year-round settlement with permanent dwellings equipped with cisterns and channels for collecting rainwater. They have also discovered tools for processing oats and grains and even brewing beer. Presently, it is unclear whether the monument or village was built first, and as excavations continue, new information may force archaeologists to rethink the timeline of human technological progression. More incredible still is that Turkish archaeologists have now identified at least a dozen other hilltop sites similar to Göbekli Tepe. Each has the same T-pillars dating from a comparable period, although Göbekli Tepe remains the largest of such monuments. In light of recent discoveries, some speculate that the people of Göbekli Tepe may have been trying to cling to a more traditional way of life in the face of advancements in farming and agriculture. Claire feels that the elaborate carvings found at Göbekli Tepe are the key to unlocking the puzzle of its creation. Talking of the stone carvings depicting foxes, leopards, serpents, and vultures, he muses that they're more than just pictures, they're narratives. Unfortunately, the incredible time barrier that separates us from the sculptors of this monument renders any tangible interpretation almost impossible. But perhaps the most perplexing thing about Göbekli Tepe is that it appears to have been deliberately buried. Along with the soil, the monument seems to be filled with refuse, like flint chips and animal bones. Covering up the monument is thought to be one of the reasons it was so well preserved, but archaeologists remain baffled as to why the site was covered in such a way. Stranger still is that the nearby site of Karahan Tepe, a Neolithic village that some believe to be even older than Göbekli Tepe, met the same fate and was buried with some degree of ceremony around the same time. As perplexing as these ancient sites are, perhaps one of the most controversial sites in Anatolia is Derinkuyu. This vast underground city is thought to have housed around 20,000 people at its peak. The town itself lies over 85 meters beneath Cappadocia's ferry chimneys and is believed to have been in constant use for thousands of years. The vast network of underground tunnels and rooms was rediscovered in 1963 when a local renovated his home and found his chickens were escaping through a small crevasse. Upon investigation, the local man uncovered the first of over 600 entrances to the city. Most of the entries were found within private homes in the local area. The builders of this sprawling underground metropolis are still unknown, but speculation about their creation causes much controversy within the historical community. The prevailing theory is that the Hittites or the Phrygians created them for defensive purposes. However, many feel that the number of entrances and the air shafts mean it would be ill-equipped to deal with a violent onslaught. One of the reasons the tunnels are so hard to date is their almost constant use by centuries of succeeding generations. It is likely that any evidence left by the original creators of the tunnels would have been used or disposed of by subsequent inhabitants. Controversial British writer Graham Hancock believes that the underground city may have been created as a way for our ancient ancestors to survive cataclysmic climate change, although mainstream historians and archaeologists vehemently deny this possibility. Perhaps we will never know the truth about these fascinating ancient sites, but one thing is clear: the history of human civilization is not yet set in stone. Who knows what secrets regarding our history and ancient cultures still lie beneath the surface of the steppes and forests of Anatolia? Do you have any theories about any of the ancient sites mentioned in this video? If so, please let us know in the comments below. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Ancient Anatolia, check out our book, Ancient Anatolia, a captivating guide to ancient civilizations of Asia Minor, including the Hittite Empire, Arameans, Luwians, Neo-Assyrian Empire, Cimmerians, Scythians, Persians, Romans, and more. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.